There are moments in life when the road becomes difficult. Moments when the answers we expected never come. Moments when our strength seems smaller than the problems before us. And sometimes, when the world around us becomes uncertain, we begin to look everywhere for help. We look to people. We look to circumstances. We look to our own strength. We look for answers in places that cannot carry the weight of our fears. But Scripture invites us to look somewhere else, higher, beyond the mountains, beyond our circumstances, beyond what our eyes can see. The psalmist asks a simple question: where does my help come from? And then comes the answer. Our help comes from the Lord, the one who made heaven and earth. Eliam had learned something about life. Not everything could be controlled. He had worked hard. He had planned carefully. He had tried to prepare for tomorrow. But one season of difficulty had changed everything. The work he depended on was disappearing. His family needed him. The future seemed uncertain. And every answer he tried to create seemed to lead to another question. Perhaps you have asked the same question, not necessarily with your voice. Sometimes the question lives quietly inside the heart. What will happen tomorrow? Will everything be all right? Who will help me? What if I cannot solve this? What if my strength is not enough? The Bible does not pretend that difficult circumstances do not exist. Instead, Scripture teaches us where to look when they arrive. The psalmist begins by lifting his eyes. It is a small movement, but sometimes a small movement can change our perspective. When our eyes remain fixed only on the problem can appear enormous. But when we lift our eyes toward God, we remember something greater. The mountain has not changed. The difficulty may not have disappeared, but our perspective has changed. Psalm 121 reminds us, I lift up my eyes to the hills. Then comes the question, from where does my help come? The answer is not found in the mountains themselves. The mountains are not the source. The Creator is. Before there were mountains, before there were valleys, before there were oceans, before humanity ever lifted its eyes toward the heavens, God was. Genesis begins with the declaration that God created the heavens and the earth. Creation itself becomes a reminder of His authority. The God who made what is beyond our understanding is not overwhelmed by what overwhelms us. We are small. Our problems can feel enormous. But our God is not small. He is the Maker, the one who established the heavens, the one who sustains creation, and the one who is able to sustain His people. Knowing that God is powerful does not mean that life will never become difficult. Faith is not a promise that every storm will disappear immediately. Faith is the confidence that God remains God while the storm is happening. Psalm 46 describes God as a refuge and strength, an ever-present help in trouble. A refuge is a place where we can run. Strength is what we need when our own strength is exhausted, and help means that we are not abandoned. That night, Eliam could not stop thinking about tomorrow. The mind has a way of traveling into places the body has not yet reached. Tomorrow, next week, next month. What if? What if? What if? What if? What if? Worry can make an uncertain future feel like a present reality, but worry does not give us control over tomorrow. It only steals our attention from today. Jesus taught His followers not to live consumed by anxious concern about tomorrow. Not because difficulties are imaginary, but because the Father knows what His children need. The answer to worry is not pretending that everything is easy. It is learning to place our perspective under the sovereignty of God. Look at creation. The sun rises. The seasons change. Rivers continue their journey. Seeds disappear beneath the soil before they become something visible. Life continues according to rhythms established long before we arrived. Creation reminds us that God is not merely powerful, He is sovereign. He sees what we cannot see. He understands what we do not understand. Sometimes our greatest need is not a change in circumstances. Sometimes it is a change in perspective. Instead of asking only, "How will I solve this?" we can begin asking, "Lord, how can I trust you through this?" Human beings become tired. We become distracted. We sleep. We forget. Our strength has limits. But the God who watches over His people does not have the limitations we have. Psalm 121 continues by presenting the Lord as the one who watches. While Eliam slept, God remained God. While Eliam worried, God remained sovereign. While Eliam did not know what tomorrow would bring, God already knew. This is where faith begins to breathe, not because we know everything, but because we know the one who does. Eliam had expected help to arrive as a dramatic miracle. He imagined the clouds opening. He imagined an immediate solution. But sometimes God's provision arrives quietly, through another person, through an opportunity, through wisdom, through patience, through strength for another day, through a door we did not notice before. God's help does not always arrive in the form we expect, but that does not mean He is absent. Sometimes the answer begins with a single step of obedience, a conversation, a prayer, a decision, a willingness to continue. The biblical story carries this truth beyond the Old Testament. The New Testament presents Jesus Christ as deeply connected to creation itself. John's Gospel teaches that all things came into being through Him. Paul likewise speaks of creation in relation to Christ. These passages point believers toward the mystery of Christ's divine identity and His place within God's work of creation. The one through whom creation came into being is not distant from the brokenness of humanity. The biblical message is that God enters the story of His creation. He does not merely observe human suffering from far away. He acts, He calls, He saves, He restores. There will always be valleys. Some seasons will feel like mountains. Others will feel like valleys. And sometimes we will not understand why God allows us to walk through them. But the presence of a valley does not mean the absence of God. The question is not always, how do I escape this immediately? Sometimes the deeper question is, can I trust God while I walk through it? One step, then another. One prayer, then another. One day, then another. The circumstances of Eliam's life had not become perfect, but something inside him had changed. He had learned that faith does not require us to understand everything. Faith requires us to know where to look. When fear says, "Look at the problem," faith says, "Lift your eyes." When worry says, "You must control tomorrow," faith says, "Trust the one who already holds tomorrow." When weakness says, "You cannot continue," faith remembers, "God is my strength." When loneliness says, "You are alone," faith remembers, "The Lord watches over His people." Perhaps your difficulty will not disappear today. Perhaps the answer you are waiting for has not arrived. Perhaps you still have questions. That is okay. Faith does not mean that you never feel concern. It means that concern does not have to become your master. You can pause. You can pray. You can breathe. You can remember God's character. You can return to His word. and you can lift your eyes again, not because the world is always safe, but because God remains faithful. Eliam finally understood something. His greatest security was never found in his ability to predict the future. It was found in the character of God, the God who created heaven and earth, the God who gives strength, the God who is refuge, the God who watches over his people, the God revealed in Scripture as faithful and sovereign. Eliam whispers, "My help comes from the Lord," and sometimes that is the beginning of peace, not because every question has been answered, but because we have remembered who God is. When life becomes difficult, lift your eyes. When the future feels uncertain, lift your eyes. When your strength feels small, lift your eyes. When worry becomes loud, lift your eyes. Not because the mountains can save you, but because the mountains remind you of the one who made them. Your help does not ultimately come from circumstances. It does not come from human strength alone. It does not come from knowing everything that tomorrow will bring. Your help comes from the Lord, the maker of heaven and earth, the Creator who sustains His creation, the God who is refuge and strength, and the God whom Scripture reveals as faithful. You may not know what tomorrow holds, but you can trust the one who holds tomorrow. So when fear tells you to look down, look up. When worry tells you to look backward, look toward God. When weakness tells you that you cannot continue, remember where your strength comes from. And when you do not know where help will come from, remember the ancient words, "I lift up my eyes to the hills. From where does my help come? My help comes from the Lord, who made heaven and earth."